You've got all of the standard cards you expect to see. You've got your Pilgrims, you got your Huntmasters, Thragtusks, Borderland Rangers, Restoration Angels, Angel of Serenity, big Papa Garrick Primal Hunter, and then a smattering of other cards. We are in game 3 here, so you can see Joseph Loster hiding under the hat there.
Hiding his eyes. He doesn't want you to know what he has. But both players have their hands. We are going to see some dual lands come into play here. Temple Garden for Joseph, Hollow Fountain for Christian. And we're going to get things underway here with looks like a Farseek. Now, Joe's deck, I mean, this is your standard mid-range deck, obviously, as you said. Just, you know, Farseek ramping up into big things. Thragtusk, Angel of Serenity, just all the big doofuses that we saw. Basically the same deck that Jonathan Joe played round 1.
Right. Now, you brought up the existence of... where is it? Our flashback awesomeness. Desperate Ravings, yeah. In Christian's deck. Normally, I hate Desperate Ravings, but in a deck like this, where there's not a specific control-style plan you're working on, great card.
I agree.
We see Augur of Bolas come out for Christian Valenti, and he's going to be facing off against Borderland Ranger. These two cards very similar in many ways.
Now, you saw Augur of Bolas miss. It didn't draw a card. With Borderland Ranger, he draws a card every time. So Borderland Ranger is going to search out Joseph a land, going to help him fix his mana base. He's already looking pretty good on mana, but this is going to ensure that he can hit his land drops so that he can go big.
How many Borderland Rangers did you run at the last Invitational?
I played 4.
That's right.
And I loved it.
I love it. And we get a third land from Christian Valenti. This list only has 3. For shame, Joe. For shame. Okay, and looks Christian passes back to Joe. Joe looking at big Papa Garrick in his hand.
Yeah, the judge the spotter there wondering, you know, that land go back into play from the Ranger. But no, this is the land that he played for the turn.
Yep, and Christian did miss 1 land, so... Or no, pardon me, there was the Farseek, that's it. Thank you. A reasonable question, thanks to our spotter, trying to make sure things stay honest. In for 2, do you dare block?
This is just a very safe attack. There's not a ton that can go wrong for Joseph. Christian opts to block, and now he's just going to play a Huntmaster of the Fells.
Huntmaster is a card that kind of dropped off for a little bit there, but it's been seeing a resurgence lately, and I'm happy to see Huntmaster come on back. Got a Thought Scour now, end of turn, or probably end of turn.
Well, this looks like this is going to be in response here. Christian's going to get some information. He does have a Syncopate in his hand, so he wants to, you know, decide if he wants to counter that, and he's going to.
Yep. In response, and gets the sync. Passes back to Christian Valenti. Christian Valenti, a regular on the Star City Games circuit.
Yeah, Christian has, you know, this is, you know, he's played in a handful of invitationals as well. He's been kind of hiding off in Tennessee with a little bit of school action, but he couldn't wait to get out and play. He hasn't played for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so in a high-level tournament, so he was really happy to get out here this weekend.
Now you see the dangerous 4 mana, the build your own Cryptic Command mana, where Christian can potentially go Snapcaster Syncopate.
And that's one of the real strengths of this blue-red mid-range deck, between having Restoration Angel, Snapcaster Syncopate, or even having nothing and just trying to cycle some cards. You know, the 4 mana is the sweet spot for this deck, and it's kind of up to Joseph to figure out what he wants to do, because again, it doesn't look like he has Cavern Souls or anything to do this turn, as he does just pass back.
And I think we're going to see another pass back as well. Christian's happy to hang out. Let's just chill, buddy. End of turn. Joe lost it. Makes a move, which gets the Syncopate out. Will Joe be able to untap and do something powerful? Go for it. 1 mana, not much I can do to stop you.
Another Restoration Angel drawn for Joseph, so he is just looking for that 5th land he does not have yet for Thragtusk or Garruk Primal Hunter. He does have Restoration Angel. He also has another Huntmaster of the Fells, so again, he does have decisions to make. You know, he could Restoration Angel his Borderland Ranger here to help him hit that 5th land.
That's what I like that play. That's the play I like. Get some mana, because then you can start unloading the rest of this stuff. And he goes with Huntmaster. This does force Christian into a position where he has to do something, lest the Huntmaster start eating him.
So we see Christian is going to draw a card here. Can't quite make out what it is. It is a Clifftop Retreat. So now he does have access to 2 white mana for the Supreme Verdict that is hiding in his hand. We also know that Christian does have a Snapcaster Mage, and he does have a Restoration Angel. So Christian has everything online right now. It's kind of up to him to just get everything set up right now.
Let's see. While Joe is tapped out, Angel, and it's going to trigger on one of these two fine gentlemen. Which one will it be? I didn't see if he indicated both of them with his hand, but which one does he actually... This one. Okay, Augur. Augur flashes out, comes back, and says... Sphinx's revelation? Ouch.
Yeah, not so bad. Not so bad. And there are a lot of reasons to main phase that there. You know, get some information on your turn. You know, let's say that he does hit a Pillar of Flame, he can take care of the Huntmaster, but most importantly, it prevents Huntmaster of the Fells from flipping for Joseph Loster. So all around, a good play there from Christian, while he's even able to still represent things with those 2 mana up, be it Azorius Charm, be it another Syncopate for 1. It's all things that Joseph has to think about now.
From at home, Chris Van Meter apparently thinks you and I are pretty dreamy.
Well, Chris's opinion I value very highly.
I do too.
Especially when he's as right as he is right now.
I know, and you know, he is a well-accomplished Star City Games player himself. So
we miss you.
Yeah, come on back.
Stop playing World of Warcraft.
And now Joe has a decision to make here. His opponent is largely tapped out, and that 2 mana could obviously represent a Syncopate, but by doing nothing, he can flip the Huntmaster.
Yep.
And here it comes. Flippy way. 2 damage. Snapcaster and you. Christian at a healthy 18 life now after that damage.
Christian says, I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with that trade, as we see a Jace Memory Adept drawn for Christian's turn. Again, that's a card that's been seeing a lot of play this weekend, just for the ability to mill an opponent out. And I think we are going to see one right now here from Christian.
I would be unsurprised if he goes with the draw ability right now. Draw 1, mill you 1? Or is he going to go for the kill?
Yeah, he could be. I mean, he could be going upstairs and just starting to mill. We're going to see exactly what Christian decides. Okay.
Draw 1, mill me 1, so I can get more cards in my yard to Snapcaster. Or potentially hit that Desperate Ravings.
Yep. Christian's draw that turn was a Pillar of Flame. A little bit late, unfortunately. One thing that Christian doesn't know is that Joseph does have a Restoration Angel hiding out. So, I mean, this Pillar of Flame, there are some things that can definitely go wrong here.
Maybe he'll go for the wolf, just in case the angel hits. He's like, oh, maybe I'll wait.
It does look like he is going to wait. But with him waiting, the door is open for Restoration Angel to come into play here for Joseph. So, interesting to see if that line of play is correct. I mean, Christian was doing pretty well just by sitting out, but we don't see Joseph play anything that turn. Wow. That one's a little bit surprising to me.
I think the angel... Well, maybe he wants to keep some cards in his hand for post-Wrath. In comes the team. We're going to see a... Looks like a chump and a... Oh, nope, doubling up.
Oh, it just looks like Christian is just separating the blockers right now, trying to figure out exactly what he wants to do.
He's going for... Let's figure it out. If you're just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here in the booth with Cedric Phillips, watching Christian Valenti with blue-white-red mid-range face-off against Joseph Loster with Naya mid-range at our deciding game 3 for this match.
Interesting block here by Christian. Christian putting Restoration Angel in front of the flipped Huntmaster of the Fells, and we see Augur Bolas jump in front of the Wolf, which is a much easier and simplistic block. That begs the question on exactly what his game plan is here.
We're going to see a Cell Charm?
It looks like we are going to see.
Here
we're going to see the +2/+2 mode, excuse me, on Celestia Charm to get through that Augur Bolas.
It looks like they're coming at Jace. They're going to do a little bit of damage to Jace, but Jace lives. Christian's creatures die, and I think we're going to see a Supreme Verdict in a moment. Though that will open the door for a Garruk Primal Hunter on Joe's turn back.
So we see a Farseek here from Joseph, so Joseph's mana is all kind of set up. Now, the only issue, of course, now is that with the Supreme Verdict coming from Christian, he kind of has the access of what he wants to do with Jace as well, and something that we have talked about quite a bit is he could just start going upstairs.
And Christian, we see the Ravager of the Fells become a Huntmaster once again. And Christian untaps, draws, and let's see what he does with the Jace. Goes for the card. One in the hand, mills himself. Mill himself for a land. Why would he mill himself, you ask? To get more fuel in the graveyard for his both Snapcasters and the potential for a card like Desperate Ravings. Not to mention the pike.
So now we do see the Supreme Verdict there from Christian. He clears the board. He has a Jace versus whatever Joseph can do. Now, we know that Joseph has quite a few options available to him with Thrag Tusk and Garrett Primal Hunter. We'll see what line Joe decides to take as he does draw another Restoration Angel.
I think this is going to be a long slog. We're far from the end of this game.
Yeah, I think, this is kind of, how mid-range battles go, especially, we saw earlier in round one when Jonathan Job had, Keswick Wolf run and Triumph of Ferocity and was really just kind of giving Samuel Pardee kind of the beatdown, because he was just so far ahead on cards and creatures and things he could do with his mana. Here, it seems like a little bit more fair, as we see a Loxodon Smiter here.
Looking at Christian Valenti's deck list, I already mentioned my feelings about Desperate Ravings. This is the first time I've seen Desperate Ravings in a deck in maybe about 6 months where I thought it was correct.
Yeah, Ravings is an interesting card. It got a lot of hype at first from different writers on different websites, including Patrick Chafin on Star City. Very pro that card. I know Michael Jacob was as well, and it's definitely a good card. It's just been having a little bit of difficulty finding some home outside of modern decks like Storm, where it's not even really seeing a home much there either.
And we see our first activation going, as you put it, upstairs. Joe having a sixth of his potential deck knocked to the yard.
And you kind of see Christian moving upstairs towards Joseph's library, because these 9 mid-range decks, Adrian, one thing they do incredibly well, and I'm sure you know this, is that they have no problem gaining life. So attacking their life total is relatively difficult with Thrag Tusk and, Restoration Angel bouncing it around, and Angel of Serenity bringing it back, as we see an Azorius Charm here from Christian, delaying the Smiter.
The Smiter is going to be waiting, and then unfortunately for Joseph, that Jace is just going to say, nah, never mind.
Yeah, we can take care of that if I choose to. So it looks like Christian is going the route of kind of protect the queen, as it were. Just make sure Jace can just start firing off those minus 10 activations of 10 cards off of Joseph's library, because now that's his life total. The 24 that we see in the top left-hand corner of the screen, it's relevant, but it's not that relevant.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Apparently we had a strange technical difficulty over here. I'm not sure from what, but Glenn Jones looks like he might be involved.
Yeah, I blame Glenn, mostly.
Who?
Glenn. Yep. As we do see a Restoration Angel here.
Restoration Angel. What turn is it? I lost track. Is that in the graveyard, that Razor Verge Thicket, or is it in play? I can't tell.
That Temple Garden is in play.
Oh, is it Temple Garden? Oh, it's a new Temple Garden. Ugh, ugly.
I happen to like it.
Okay, back to the match at hand. In comes the Angel. 4 mana for an Angel of his own.
It looks like Christian is going to potentially make an attempt to just kind of run into each other here. Again, playing the role of Protect the Queen as best he can. Jace is his route to victory. And just anything to do to make sure that it doesn't die is his goal.
And Joe follows up with an Avacyn's Pilgrim. Has Angel mana open. Really slow playing it here. Another Azorius Charm.
We see 10 more. 10 more off of Joe's virtual life total.
It looks to me as though Joe is maybe an activation and a half away from being dead.
And Christian has already taken care of 30 cards. Joe has thinned his deck a bit with Farseeks, and of course he's drawing a card every turn, as we see a Pillar of Flame here on an Avacyn's Pilgrim, but we'll see a Restoration Angel in response from Joe to save the Pilgrim. But it begs the question, how exactly is Joe going to be able to win this game with, without much of a library? And he has to attack Jace. He cannot attack Christian's life total at this point, or Jace is just going to win Christian the game.
Ever closer to his death.
Well, that's a step in the right direction, as we see Joe drew an Oblivion Ring for the turn. So not only can Oblivion Ring take care of the Jace, but Restoration Angels can start taking care of his life total. So it might be able to swing things back in his favor with a favorable draw step there for Joseph.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think that there are 12 cards left in Joseph's library. I was trying to count along with him as he counted his library, but it's right in that range of probably 12 to 14 cards. 10 cards, says our director.
It's an interesting number.
We see the block and the
Azorius.
Azo. Make that 11 cards. Oh, another Jace waiting in the wings.
And now we do see the Oblivion Ring here. Christian taking a look at his graveyard. We do know that he has a Snapcaster Mage in his hand. Just considering his options here, we know that he has another Jace in his hand at home, so he may or may not care about that taking place. And it says that's perfectly fine with me.
Joe, go ahead.
No, just Joe again considering his options. We see a
Yeah.
Borderland Ranger. There's Angel Serenity, which has a lot of things that it can return from the graveyard, but by playing Borderland Ranger, if he searches for a land out of his deck, he goes back down to 10.
What's he gonna do? Let's look to see what's left in here.
Yeah. He can certainly search his library and decide if he wants to search for a land, or he can and opt not to take one and fail to search, or he can take one.
I couldn't find one, officer.
Yeah.
Look, Christian
Yep.
shows the Jace. Joe says that's all she wrote. Oh, look at that smile. Christian's pretty happy about that.
So Christian Valenti is going to move on to 4.